Iraqi armed factions, the umbrella of Iran-aligned militia groups operating under the loose coalition known as the Islamic Resistance in Iraq, have been developing FPV drone capability since at least mid-2023. The developmental arc mirrors what Hezbollah and Houthi forces went through. Initial reliance on Iranian-supplied loitering munitions, parallel development of locally manufactured FPV platforms, gradual progression toward complex attack profiles. By early 2025, Iraqi factions were conducting FPV attacks on Iraqi security force vehicles and Kurdish Peshmerga positions. The targeting was relatively imprecise, the warheads inconsistent, proof-of-concept attacks, learning events. What happened at Victoria Base last night was not a proof-of-concept attack. A Black Hawk helicopter sitting inside a major American installation is a hardened, defended, high-value target. Getting a drone to it requires overcoming the base perimeter, the counter-drone systems, physical obstacles, and the attention of guards and sensors operating around the clock. The attack succeeded. That means the factions have solved problems: RF penetration, flight path planning, target identification, proximity fusing, that took significant development time and operational testing to work through. This is not the same enemy that lobbed 100 military rockets over the wire in 2023. The choice of target is not random. It deserves examination. The Medevac Black Hawk occupies a specific symbolic and operational position in American military culture and doctrine. The Medevac mission, flying into contested airspace to recover wounded, is built on a foundational principle. The United States will not leave its people on the battlefield. That principle is operationally enabled by the Medevac helicopter and the pilots who fly it. Attacking a Medevac aircraft is not just attacking a piece of hardware. It is attacking the mechanism of that promise. It is a message directed not at American politicians or generals, but at the soldiers on the ground. The thing that comes to get you when you are hurt is not safe. Whether or not that was the conscious targeting calculus of the faction that launched this attack, that is the psychological effect. And sophisticated adversaries, and the Iranian advisors embedded with these factions, are sophisticated, understand psychological effects. There is also a pure operational logic. A Medevac Black Hawk on the ground at Victoria Base is predictable. It is in the same place, at consistent times, between missions. It is large. It is identifiable by its distinctive Red Cross markings. It is easier to find and target than a combat aircraft sheltered in a hardened revetment. FPV attacks require the operator to identify the target visually in real time. A clearly marked, large rotor wing aircraft sitting on a flight line is an easier targeting problem than almost any alternative. We have been tracking cost exchange ratios across this conflict. At Nevatim, Iran spent $2.2 million and destroyed $425 million in assets, a 200-to-1 ratio in Iran's favor. The Tel Aviv Fatah 3 barrage cost roughly $60 million and inflicted over $1 billion in damage. Last night's attack cost somewhere between $800 and $3,000, depending on how many drones were used, what components were sourced locally versus imported, and what the assembly cost is at current Iraqi market rates. The damage to the Black Hawk is not yet officially assessed. Medevac Black Hawks are repairable. They are also extremely complex systems where damage to avionics, rotor systems, or medical equipment creates cascading repair requirements that exceed the cost of the components themselves. A conservative estimate for significant FPV strike damage to an HH-60, not destruction, damage, is $2 to $8 million in repair costs and mission downtime. Call it $5 million in damage against a $2,000 attack. That is a cost exchange ratio of $2,500 to 1. $2,500 of drone hardware, $5 million of damage, inside a base that costs hundreds of millions of dollars per year to operate and defend. The mathematics of this conflict are becoming geometrically worse for American and Israeli conventional forces with every engagement. The United States military spent 2 decades and roughly $2 trillion on counterinsurgency doctrine in Iraq and Afghanistan. It built the most sophisticated base defense architecture in the world. It deployed electronic warfare systems, physical barriers, intelligence networks, rapid reaction forces, and counter-drone technology specifically to address the threat environment in Iraq. All of that investment assumed a threat model based on the weapons available when those doctrines were written: rockets, mortars, vehicle bombs, early-generation drones flying pre-programmed GPS routes. The FPV drone operated by a skilled human pilot in real time is a qualitatively different threat. It is fast enough to evade most physical countermeasures. It is manually guided in a way that defeats GPS-based electronic countermeasures. It is small enough to be difficult to detect on radar until it is already inside the defensive perimeter. It costs less than a week's salary for the pilot who operates it. American-based defense doctrine has not caught up. The systems deployed at Victoria Base last night were optimized for the 2020 threat model, not the 2026 threat model. The gap between the threat that exists and the doctrine designed to counter it is what a $800 drone just flew directly through.